Pasin Tumbuna Day highlights traditional values. Refugees reunite after years of struggle. And ophthalmologist calls for training of more eye doctors.
This is National EMTV News with Lorraine Gabina.
Good evening and welcome to Saturday's news. A variety of traditional activities were staged in Port Moresby to commemorate the Pasin Tumbuna Day. They include the traditional way of starting a fire to carving posts and the process of sago making. The showcasing is a lead-up to the Looking PNG Now exposition, which will be held tomorrow.
Over 25 groups were part of the showcasing, representing the 4 regions of Papua New Guinea. In the Highlands region, Philip Curry, a Western Highlander, and Abel Loda from Eastern Highlands, demonstrated how their ancestors started fire using only bush vines and dried grass. 2 groups from East Sepik and Manus showed how sago is made in their respective provinces. There were also displays of artifacts, weaving and traditional cooking.
The feeling that lots of cultural events are all around sing-sings, but we wanted to have a cultural event that actually showed the skills and normal daily traditions that would have been done that we don't necessarily get to see in a modern society.
The event also gave people the opportunity to see how traditional dancers wear their traditional bilas or costumes before doing a traditional sing-sing. This is an initiative of the PNG government to promote, maintain and preserve PNG's traditional knowledge and culture.
And in our capital city, it's still a small city, but when we evolve into a big city, such activity is very, very important because, especially for our kids, they come out and they get a feel of what the rural life.
Some of the groups traveled from outside Port Moresby to be part of the day. Martin Tony is from the Simbu Tourism Arts and Culture Development Authority and has come to be part of the Looking PNG Now Expo, which will be held tomorrow.
Chimbu actually brought in 23 people from Chimbu, and most of them is a traditional cultural group. But we felt our participation here is really good because most times people marvel at our traditional bilas, but the wearing of the bilas and everything is tedious.
Tekla Gunga, National EMTV News.
Today marks 9 years since the demolition of the 8-mile West Papuan settlement just outside of Port Moresby. For many in PNG, it was just another eviction exercise, easily forgotten. But for the refugees who were forced out of their homes, it is a day they commemorate every year to not only remember what they went through, but also how they have coped since.
Most of the families who were evicted then now reside here at Rainbow. Freddie Waromi is the chairman of this group of West Papuans and remembers the events clearly.
Today, 9 years ago, that's when we moved out from 8 Mile with bitter and experience memories in our mind.
But today is also a cause for celebrations. A family who was part of their group have since become Australian citizens and are back in the country to not only commemorate this day, but to also show their appreciation for the support they had during those difficult years.
Me been struggling 8 Mile, how me feeling now like all stuff all same. Na me pla, tok me pla mas go long Port Moresby, so me pla can make him some pla kai so tok thank you long all.
While Eileen was with the children in Port Moresby, being moved from one settlement to another, her husband George traveled to Australia in 2000 and obtained a refugee status. After 8 years of studying refugee text and legislation, George was able to secure permanent residency status in Australia. He then secured the rights for his family to join him.
Along the West Papuan political struggle history, that's my family, they were the first family who receive Australian permanent resident visa in Port Moresby before came to Australia.
Melanie was 11 years old when she left for Australia, but she remembers clearly what they went through.
To me, it's come here and seeing this, how the families, yes. I just feel, emotional. And it's, it just reminds me back in, when I was with them. We moved from 8 Mile.
As a family with musical gifts who have recorded albums in PNG, they shared their gifts with their families today with some popular songs. With the promise of being relocated to a permanent location, Freddie and the rest of the Rainbow West Papuans hoped that this year would be the last year they commemorate this day. Sarah Aupong, National EMTV News.
A couple's dream to minimize maternal mortality rate in Papua New Guinea has materialized. Dr. Barry Kirby and his wife have founded the Hands of Rescue, an organization focused on rescuing pregnant women in rural Milne Bay. The organization has received support and grown over the years to include a medical plane.
There she is. What a beauty.
The medical plane is a boost for the Hands of Rescue. It was purchased in America and brought into the country recently. According to Dr. Kirby, this plane was flown by Australian airline Qantas, but this will be the first time the aircraft will be flown as a medical plane.
Buying the aircraft has been a long process, over 3 years.
This plane was purchased after a medical research conducted in 2011 revealed high statistics of maternal mortality rate in Milne Bay.
But now we've come to the point where we need to go to the health centres out there and support the health workers themselves.
Dr. Kirby and his team have worked in Esa'ala and Alatau districts to assist pregnant women for at least 4 years.
Our government is very concerned about infant mortality and maternal mortality.
With the inclusion of the plane, Alatau MP Charles Abel says his challenge will be to open up closed airstrips in Milne Bay to allow the plane to reach other districts.
This service is not only going to extend direct health services, but it's going to help boost our transport system. And it is the transport system throughout the province that extends all services to our people, not only health services.
Tekla Gunga, National EMTV News.
We'll have more local stories after the break. Stay with us. Welcome back to National EMTV News. There is a need for more ophthalmologists or more eye doctors in Papua New Guinea. Ophthalmologist Dr. Sunu Dalal said each provincial hospital must provide regular services to address the increasing eye problems in the country. He made the comment after more than 200 patients registered for the eye care operation in Kavieng, New Ireland province.
The huge number of eye care operation in Kavieng has prompted EMTV to query why there were few ophthalmologists in the country. In an interview with Dr. Dulal, who has been conducting eye surgery in Kavieng, this lack of regular service with operative surgery. The outreach program conducted by non-government organizations like the Pratt Hollows Foundation once in a year has seen patients turning up in numbers to access the services.
In PNG, in most of the provinces, there is no regular eye care service. I mean, there are the clinicians, but the operative surgery, especially cataract, blinding surgery, these are not available. So my suggestion for the government of the PNG is to, at least one ophthalmologist in each of the provincial hospital. So, that means regular service will be very important, This.
Dr. Dulal said most young doctors have less interest in eye care, with many specialists found in areas like obstetrics and gynecology. But for this to happen, the motivation must come from the government, which means investing in training.
Initially, yes, ONG, then later, gradually, the transfer of the skill, education, training, and actually it is not difficult. There should be, motivation. If the government is motivated, then yes, that can be done.
Fabian Haklitz, National MTV News.
Health workers from around the country have been attending a critical training on research and surveillance. At yesterday's closing ceremony, Dr. Gina Etheridge from Family Health International 360 says the training will assist participants to not only collect data but learn how to use it as well. The week-long workshop was hosted by the FHI 360 Center for Disease Control and funded under the U.S. Agency for International Development.
The training is part of strengthening the health sector through capacity building of health personnel. It concentrated on availability of health data, uses of health data, and information for monitoring and planning, as well as epidemiology, research, evaluation, and surveillance. Dr. Etheridge says the training was a good learning process for the participants who work in different health levels around the country.
Demystify research, that everyone, all of the participants, all 20 of them are doing certain levels of research and certain levels of surveillance, and they can use those data to strengthen the programs here rather than collect data.
Ethics component was a vital subject in the training. This is because Dr. Etheridge says ethics plays an important role when dealing with the human population.
ARD. FHI's motto is always working with local organizations so that we can build capacity of local organizations and sustain.
This is one of the many workshops that FHI 360 has been conducting around the country. FHI 360 is an American-based organization that has been operating in the country for almost 10 years. It focuses on social issues facing the country, such as gender-based violence and access to HIV facilities. Marilyn Diaukata, National MTV News.
The PNG World Supermodel Agency organized a meet and greet for its models today at the Lamana Hotel in Port Moresby, leading up to the upcoming supermodel pageant. Phil Makelegai, the National Director of World Supermodel PNG, said this event sought to give young women a chance to meet with other professionals and models within the industry.
Today's meet and greet event saw the attendance of cultured clothes designers, photographers, and makeup artists, to name a few. As much as it gave the young females a chance to familiarize themselves with professionals, it was a platform for them to build their confidence, a trait they have been training to master. These are models who aspire to expand beyond the shores of PNG in the footsteps of Noreen Pissa and Donna Tekel, who represented PNG in the World Supermodel pageant in the Caribbean and South Africa, respectively. Kelegai said this year's supermodel pageant will determine which two models would represent PNG in the upcoming World Supermodel pageant in China. These models represent only a handful of about 80 models, both men and children as young as 4 years old, under the agency. Kelegai said, however, because male modeling in PNG in the industry is very unpopular, there aren't as many as they would love to have. Melissa Goviro, National MTV News.
The Miss Pacific Islands PNG quest is on again. Vying for the crown are 4 young hopefuls with their own unique aspirations. One of them is Miss Lois Elave, representing Paradise Foods Limited as Miss Queen Emma under the Queen Emma chocolate brand. Paradise Foods Limited, under its Pure PNG banner, the Queen Emma Chocolate Company, has boosted first-year law students at the University of Papua New Guinea, Lois Elave, with 15,000 kina in her quest to represent PNG in the prestigious Miss Pacific Islands pageant. The incumbent Miss PNG 2016-17 will contest against other Pacific Island nations, with the winner forging on being crowned Miss Pacific Island 2016-17. General Manager of Queen Emma Chocolate Company, Karina Makori, congratulated Miss Elave on her success to date through the various local fashion shows she had taken part in. Makori also said part of the company's strategy is to help develop PNG's agricultural and downstream processing sector. The Queen Emma Chocolate Company is 100% PNG owned and has a rich history in PNG, supporting our smallholder cocoa growers, particularly the women from our cocoa-producing provinces. Further adding that there is a mutual belief that Queen Emma Chocolates and the Miss PNG Pacific Islands pageant epitomizes the value of excellence alongside a rich social-economic history. That being said, Lois is quite a fitting contestant, upholding values with pride for Papua New Guinea's diverse cultures.
True Guy Sports is next. We'll have the results from the Prime Minister's 13 and NRL semi-finals.
True Guy Sports.
Welcome to True Guy Sports. To the Prime Minister's 13 and the current scores sees PNG on 0 and Australia on 50. Missed tackles and poor handling errors gave the visitors a lion's share of possession. Tries to Josh Dugan, Semi Radradra, Blake Ferguson and Captain Greg Inglis allowed the Australian Prime Minister's 13 to completely dominate Papua New Guinea. To NRL, Paul Gallen's hope of seeing his team Cronulla Sharks make the 2016 season the year to reign is one game away after defeating reigning champions North Queensland Cowboys 32 points to 20 last night. They now await the winner of the match between Melbourne Storms and Canberra Raiders tonight. Holding the top spot on the ladder and all focused on the premiership title as well, Melbourne Storms may prove themselves to be the greater team tonight in order to get to the showdown. On the other hand, the Raiders are expected to put up a good fight to compensate for their performance last year when they finished 10th on the ladder and 4 points outside top 8. The Steamships group of companies held their annual Intersport Games at the Sir John Guy Stadium today. Employees from the company's 6 divisions took time off from their busy schedules to enjoy the sports festival. Teams from Swire Shipping, Lager Industries, Reback, East-West Transport and Consort competed in both women's touch and men's sevens rugby. In this match, the Coral Sea group was no match for the more experienced Consort group. Steamships General Manager Peter Langslow was excited at growth of the event, collecting on its 26-year history.
Multiple teams in most cases competing from each of our 6 divisions as well as our sister company Swire Shipping. We've got men's and women's this year, the women's being touch rugby. So there's a huge amount of effort and energy and good fun and team spirit. And you look at the number of spectators as well and the number of people who are involved.
And that ends True Guy Sports. We'll have the weather details when we come back.
Guy Sports. True Guy Sports.
The weather details are proudly brought to you by Dulux Weather Shield. Worth doing with Dulux.
Taking a look at the weather forecast for tonight and tomorrow. In the southern region, in Port Moresby is cloudy with chances of light rain. Fine in Daru, fine although cloudy in Kerma, and mostly fine for Alotau and Popondetta. In the Bomasa region, fine although cloudy at times in Ley, mostly fine in Medang and Wewak, and thundery showers clearing in Vanimo. In the New Guinea Islands, mostly fine in all centres except for Buka, which is just fine.
And in the Highlands region, chances of light showers in all centers except for Mount Hagen, which is cloudy, then expecting morning fog.
The weather details are proudly brought to you by Dulux Weather Shield. Worth doing with Dulux.
And that's the way it is this Saturday, the 24th of September 2016. From the news team, I'm Lorraine Gabina. Pleasant viewing. Good night.